Okay, guys, welcome back to the Joy of Resin. So we're starting off over here, and I'm just holding my phone in my hand to record this. So I have glued the struts in place, and now I'm just going to seal them in with a little bit of resin. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, we just have the clear, pouring a thin layer on the top. And then pouring just a little bit around the base of these guys. Because those are going to get properly sealed with deep pour after this cures. I'm doing this because I don't want to risk the glue coming undone when I do the final layer. And also I need to be able to remove that central piece without these getting knocked over, which might be a little bit difficult. Okay, so we just got puddles and then a nice layer over here. Okay, all right, so all this is ready for the final layer to just seal everything together. Okay, now let's see if I can put my phone back in the stand without turning off the video. Did I do it? I think I did it. Okay. Again, sorry to the people who get seasick. Okay, so we got the clear, the orange, and again a little bit of that gold, the chameleon shift gold. So, first things first, we have our little half an orb, which is going to be the sun for the eventual planetarium thing that my friend asked me about. Project is going to be long term, so I'm just going to throw this in here as like the core of the sun. All right. Okay. Throw in a little gold and fill it up. Hopefully that'll look like the sun, or a sun, or close enough to a sun for government work. All right. Next up, if you watched last night's video, you saw me pour the rest of my deep pour into this skull. However, it was just a pure clear skull, and that is entirely too boring for me, so I drilled out some holes with my drill press and put in some flowers, and I'm just going to fill those little holes up with this orange, but not all the way, because organics float, as well you know. Should look weird and unique. Bubble. Okay. So, let's poke around down in there a little bit. Release those air pockets if we can. I'm going to leave that as it is. just in case they need to be kept at a later date and time. Okay, so now we just have the other two pieces that got started last night. Took my little 32-bit skull and threw in some flowers and a little dragonfly on the bottom. Make sure I get all the air pockets out from under the dragonfly. Work around the sides to release air pockets, get full coverage. And again, leaving room for the capping layer. Oh boy. Okie dokie. And then we have cat. Cat is done. Alright, now what? I got decent amounts of resin left over, so okay, let's turn this into an educational video. Alright, I just spoke to somebody on Reddit who said they're not as familiar with color blooms as they would like, or ink drop work as they would like. So let's do a little video and showcase how to do different effects. What am I trying to do here? Okay. Okay, so I need a clipboard. Woof. All right. Okie dokie. No, don't do that. Can't spray these with alcohol first, because, you know, ruins everything. All right, so let's start with ink drops on the surface. All right, so we have regular ink drops, and then we have some metallic ink drops. So this is what it looks like when you pour on the surface. All right, and then I'm just going to scrape the rest of this off into here. Stay. Okay, and then we're going to use this one for a petri dish. The rest of this will go over here. Now, fully admitting I'm not the best at color blooms and petri dishes. I am, however, good enough to make a short educational video on the theory. Shit, I didn't make any sinker. Okay, now we improvise. We're gonna have some not quite sinker white. Nope, can't use that one. It's covered in resin. All right, so pigment paste. You just need a tiny bit on the end of whatever your mixing tool is. We're going to mix the white with the gold to get something almost like Singer white. That is a truly awful color. It's also almost a skin tone. So, hey, if anybody needs to make a skin tone for a pigmentally challenged person, mix white with gold. All right, so Petri dish. There it is. All right, Petri dish. You just take your resin, pour it first, and then you go ham with your alcohol ink on the top surface. You want full coverage. And always remember with anything with ink drops on any motherfucker. There you are. All right, let's poke around a little bit. With blooms and petri dishes, you want to avoid putting them on the heat. There we go. To facilitate dispersion. It'll give it the longest amount of time for the ink to get down in through the resin. That one's tapped out. And so is that one. All right, so you just go nuts, as previously stated. And then the final thing you add is white. And we will see how that turns out after it's cured. All right, and then for color blooms, I'm gonna need another clear alcohol. You will do. Okay, so you've got a thin surface like this. I really need to close up my pigment paste first. Okay, whoops. So color blooms, you kind of go in rings, typically. I always like to alternate between the metallics and the clear alcohols. It's usually a good idea to let your resin sit for a little bit so that it's kind of on the way to curing, but not all the way there yet. And you'll do. Okay. All right, and then we take our sinker and we just thin little ribbon. Like that. All right, and then you take a dipstick or kebab skewer and create your design. So let's do a loop-de-loop. Blurp. Okay, so that's how you do a color bloom. And then, you know, the sinker will kind of drag the resin, the alcohol ink down through, because pigment paste is heavier. I need something small. I am not making a flesh colored gummy bears. That would be weird. Nope, nope. All those are full. There we go. All right. Flesh colored mountain range. Why not? I mean, hey, while we're here, let's do the same thing with an opaque. All right. I don't know how much of that I have left, so let's just hope for the best. Okay, back to scraping. All right, there we go. All my resin accounted for. So these stay here to air cure, and I need to go turn on my curing cabinet. So I will see you guys later. I forgot one final part of color bloom. Usually once you pour and swirl or do whatever pattern you're planning on, the resin kind of all pulls together as it settles. So it's always a good idea to come back and give it another go round, just to keep it from looking like a nice big blob in the middle. Oh, got sweat in my eye. Okay, so there we go. Hopefully it'll set like that. Oh, I got sweat in my eye and it hurts.